10 years ago, on the night of October 31st, a small Midwestern town fell victim to an escaped killer. Under the cover of darkness, he carried out the most horrifying mass murder on record. 16 people in cold blood. Ever since that night, no one has forgotten his name. And Halloween has never been the same.
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is the fourth Halloween film in the series, but it's the third one with Michael Myers in it, because the third film did not have Michael Myers because it was an anthology horror film about haunted masks that kill people. Because the producers, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who actually created Michael Myers and wrote the first two movies, and John directed the first one, actually did not want to bring Michael Myers back originally. Originally, it was just going to be Michael Myers. You know, it's just going to be about, like, you know, they wanted to continue the title Halloween without Michael Myers. Because they felt like the second film killed him off. And we're like, we're done. We're not doing no more. It's over. So, of course, Mustafar Akkad, who produced the first two Halloween movies and the third film, was kind of bummed that, like, you know, Michael Myers is no longer in the movie. Like, he was like, you know, he's like, the third film, a lot of people come out going, where's Michael Myers? Where's Michael Myers? And so, of course, Mustafar Akkad was like, okay, we're going to bring Michael back for the fourth movie. And at first, Cannon Film actually brought Michael Myers, the rights to Michael Myers. See what I have in my notes right here. They actually brought Michael Myers. Well, Cannon Films approached John Carpenter about doing Halloween 4, because Universal, afterwards, the first film came out and was a flop, because everybody was like, Michael Myers not in this, why the hell should I care? So, of course, they approached John Carpenter about doing a fourth movie. Cannon Film, who had done the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, said, hey, you want to come back, direct it, you can do whatever you want, but we just need Michael Myers back. And so, of course, John Carpenter said he'll do it if he doesn't direct it and he gets to hire his own writer. And they're like, okay. So, of course, they worked on a script with a guy named Dennis Etchison, who actually wrote the Halloween 2 novelization under a fake name named Jack Martin. Him and Deborah Hill, John Carpenter, contributed to the script, and they wanted Joe Dante, and this is before he made Gremlins, or maybe after Gremlins. I think it was after Gremlins, but I could be wrong. They wanted Joe Dante to direct it. John Carpenter was going to produce it. And, of course, you know, Etchison, Deborah Hill, and him worked on a script. And in Etchison's script with John Carpenter, Michael Myers was the killer, the main antagonist, but there was a twist. He was not real. He was a ghost. And it was kind of created by the town's fear. It was more metaphoric and philosophical. I said philosophical, right? Philosophical. And so it was more about that. You know, it wasn't like going to be like, oh, Michael Myers just an escape patient again, going around killing people. John Carpenter really wanted to test the audience, really. He wanted to feel like when you watch this movie, oh my God, people are dying, and is it really Michael Myers? And so, and it wasn't even really Michael Myers. It was actually something else, which it was something going to be different. It was going to be a lot different. You know, even though Michael Myers to the general audience is the killer, it's actually psychological and metaphorical, philosophical. And so Mustafar Akkad did not like that, because he, at the time, controlled some of the rights. You know, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill controlled one part of the rights, he controlled the other part, so all three of them would have to sign off for them to make the movie. And so as they were of course, as they were about to gear up, Mustafar said no to the script, and so without them, they're like, look, dude, what do you want? And he said, look, if you just sell me the rights, I'll pay you for the rights, and then I'll take Michael Myers, and I just want to make a basic slasher movie. He says, I want to do the exact same thing we did for Halloween 1 and 2, except make it less psychological and make him less of a ghosty figure and just make him a slasher going around killing people. That's all I want to do, he says. Give me the rights, and he goes, I'll pay you, and you can go away. I'll go and bring it to a studio and get it made. And so they said, fine. If you can pay us this much, we'll sell you the rights. And so that's what they did. Sold them the rights, and then they called Etchison and said, look, they said, oh, me and John are no longer making the movie. So he says, your script, we sold it to him. You know, we gave him the script. He doesn't want to do it, so they're not making yours movie. And he's like, all right. So, of course, we never got that Halloween 4. And so after that, after Mustafar Akkad got the rights, he went to a different studio, Anchor Bay, and said, look, he goes, let's make Halloween 4. Bring back Michael Myers. And they're like, all right. yeah. They said, we'll give you this much to make it. And they're like, all right. And they made a deal. And they said, we'll distribute Halloween 4 for you. We're going to bring back Michael Myers. And so, of course, they call it the Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. And so then, of course, he brought in Dwight H. Little, who had made several episodes of Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. And it was written by Alan B. McElroy, Demi Lippis. I think it's Danny Lippis, or it's Demi. It might be Demi Lippis. Larry Ratner and Benjamin Ruffner all contributed to the script and wrote the movie, which in the end, really, Alan B. McElroy received sole credit for the screenplay, but the rest of them received sole credit on the writing part. And the movie, once again, stars Donald Pleasence. Donald Pleasence agreed to reprise the role once he finished reading the script. And newcomers to the series is Danielle Harris. Originally, the producers wanted Jamie Lee Curtis to reprise her role, but she had just already made some successful movies as A Fish Called Wanda and Trading Places, to where she's like, I don't want to return to the horror. I'm done. Okay, I finally got my foot in the door. I don't want to turn back. And she turned them flat out, straight down. So they're like, okay. And also, she didn't like the fact that John and Deborah were not doing it, because Deborah Hill was a good friend of hers, and so she felt like that was kind of, she did know why, like, okay, John and Deborah aren't doing this because you're just basically, she kind of knew the whole situation, so she's like, no, I'm not doing it just as a favor to y'all, no. Even they even offered to pay her more. She said no. And so, of course, they're like, all right, we got Donald back. We got Michael Myers, so we're good. And, of course, so they said they killed Jamie Lee Curtis off in the script by saying, oh, she died in a car accident. And then she has a daughter, though. You find out she has a daughter who's now living with an adopted family, played by Danielle Harris, this is actually her first acting role. And it says in the opening credits, introducing Danielle Harris. And actually, she would later go on to play this movie in a sequel, and she would also in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween, which has no connection to this or that movie whatsoever. She plays an entirely new role in that movie. And I'm like, that's really cool, she's had 3 movies with Michael Myers. Actually, 4 movies. She was even in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, so she had 4 movies in the Halloween series. That's pretty cool, right? And also, the movie stars Ellie Cornell, Beulah Starr, and as a new actor, George P. Wilbur as Michael Myers. George P. Wilbur was a stuntman who they hired to play Michael Myers, who actually is 41 years old, and he's playing a 33-year-old Michael Myers, which is funny. Yeah, and so, Dick Warlock, Dick Warlock did not want to reprise his role as Michael Myers because he's like, I'm too old and everything. And so they found a new actor, and to George P. Wilbur, and he agreed to do it. And also, he actually, during between takes, he would take the mask off because he didn't want to scare her. He actually was nice and kind to the little Danielle Harris because he's like, I just wanted her not to get scared and be terrified of me. And Ellie Cornell plays she's kind of like the Laurie Strode figure of the movie. She's kind of like the babysitter that's supposed to protect Jamie at all costs. And Beulah Starr is like the new Sheriff Brackett, who I actually love. I love Sheriff Meeker. He is the coolest sheriff ever. And at the end, he gets to go do some ballsy stuff to Michael Myers, where he blasts him away with a shotgun. I just thought that's like the coolest town sheriff. If ever there really was a Michael Myers, that's who the sheriff I'd like to be of that town. That's so cool. And the movie itself is one of my favorite Halloween movies. Like, the movie is, like, a lot of people don't like the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis died. To them, a traditional Halloween movie is, you gotta have Jamie Lee Curtis, you gotta have Donald Pleasence, you have to have Michael Myers, and you have to have John Carpenter and Deborah Hill behind it, and you have to have their Halloween theme. And I'm like, that's great and all. That's really great, but, like, there is some great stuff in this movie. This movie's really not a bad movie. This was the second Halloween movie I've ever seen in my life. And I really enjoyed it. I really loved it when I first saw it. Because at the end, it's so great. Because it's just like a child that's being stalked by Michael Myers is stalking. And they're trying to kill it because that's his niece. And you find out all this cool stuff. Like, okay, that's his niece. And you see a picture of Jamie Lee Curtis. And like, oh, that's cool. There's a nod to Jamie Lee Curtis. And then you're just like, oh, cool. And then you see, like, Michael Myers traditionally, even though the mask sucks. And the reason the mask sucks in the movie is because they found the Shatner mask. Like, they have the Shatner mask. Because the original mask that was worn by, they had the original mask that was worn in the first 2 movies. The first movie, they found, how the story of the Michael Myers mask goes, right? They went and found one in like a Party City bin or somewhere, like a costume store, a William Shatner Star Trek mask, and then Tommy Lee Wallace would go. He found it. Who would go on to direct the It miniseries, and of course, he would direct Halloween 3. Tommy Lee Wallace, who worked on the first film as a production designer, whatever. And so he went out to the costume store because they couldn't find what John Carpenter was looking for. He was looking for like a ominous figure face where it doesn't have an expression. And so he saw a William Shatner mask and was like, this could work. And then he cut it, spray painted it white and black hair and, you know, the rest. And it looks just like that. And then, of course, they used that. But then ended up come to making Halloween 2 because Deborah Hill, there was 2 masks made. Deborah Hill kept one and Nick Castle kept one. Nick Castle had it displayed over his fireplace. Deborah Hill had one under her bed, and she would just kept smoking. She would use it. She would just smoke. She was a heavy smoker, and so it rotted. You know, it kind of just turned like the neck turned like, you know, back into the Shatner look where it's pink right here. And so basically, when it came time to shoot Halloween 2, they just took the mask and said, "All right, put it on Dick Warlock," because Nick Castle no longer had it. Which Nick Castle, Deborah Hill was at Nick Castle and said, "Hey, can I borrow this to shoot Halloween 2?" And so like, yeah, sure. And so at the end of Halloween 2, they let Dick Warlock keep one of the masks, and the second mask they caught on fire to watch it and filmed it burning. And that was Nick Castle's mask that they burned, the one he actually lent them to borrow. And then, because they thought this was the second of the movie was never gonna be another Michael Myers movie, they told Dick Warlock he can keep the mask, the knife, and the boots and the jumpsuit. And so Dick Warlock did, and then he would later sell it to a fan at a convention. And I'm like, well, that's good for him. And I've seen the mask now. Like, I've seen pictures of what the mask looks like. And it's all roughed up. And I'm like, damn, that thing looks pieces. But then again, it was like, that was like, what, 1981 or 1982? So I was like, really? Yeah, age. Mask age. It's rubber. Yeah. But yeah, still, I mean, that's what happened. And so what happened is, and so because of that, the producer said they'll never ever give props away as gifts again. And so they had to go find a mask to look like that. And so they went out there to costume cities and stuff like that. They found a William Shatner mask, but it didn't look exactly the same. So when they're like, well, we couldn't find it because eBay didn't exist. And they're like, what do we do? And like, so, you know, they didn't have internet. So they were just like, you know, they found old stills of the first movie. And then like they had, the mask did not resemble the William Shatner mask that was there. And they looked everywhere. They couldn't find it. And so they were just like this. Which they should just ask Dick Warlock if they could keep it, you know, or buy it from him or something, you know. But instead, they just looked everywhere and they couldn't find it, so they just said they bought it, found a closely resembled Shatner face from like one of the Star Trek sequels, like Wrath of Khan or Star Trek the Motion Picture mask. They took it and then they cut it up and everything and spray painted it white. But then what had happened is they bought several of them, and what happened is there wasn't, like, they printed them. They tried to print them like with like a machine or whatever, and they turned the hair pink. And so what had happened is when you watch, like, and so when they arrived on set, they're like, what the hell's this? And so they're like, oh crap. And they're like, oh yeah, turn the hair pink. And so, but they had to shoot. So the only scene in the movie is the scene where he throws Dr. out the school and he throws Dr. Loomis through the room. You would see it's actually pink hair, but it looks blonde. But yeah, it's because that's an error because they had to shoot with the mask on. So after they shot the school stuff, they shot one scene, I think, with the school stuff, and then after they shot that scene and got a daily out of it, they went back and spray painted it to look like that. And the reason that's why the mask does not look like the mask that we all know and love, because, you know, they couldn't just remake the mask, and because they didn't have the right William Shatner face. And so, but now you can. It's easy to go make that mask. And so the movie itself, I will say, I do love this movie, so it's going to be hard to bias it, but I will say, the movie, I do love a lot of stuff. I will say that it does seem like there's some illogical stuff there. Like, okay, he's in a coma, so he wakes up, and he's like, he can actually walk around and kill people. You know, it's like, this dude was in a coma for several years, and he just wakes up randomly on Halloween night and goes around killing people. And, you know, he's not like walking like, he should be walking like this. He should be like on his feet because he can't move because his legs have been asleep for like 15 years. Stuff like that. And then also the fact that Michael Myers, the third act of the movie takes place mostly in a house before it gets to the school, then it goes back on the road. And like Michael Myers literally sneaks around, like, okay, he sneaks around in a squad car, covers himself up, and basically sits there and just does this. And also he goes and kills a entire police department in the movie. He goes into a police department and kills an entire police department off camera. And you're just like, I would love to have seen that fight, you know? I mean, but then again, I mean, I understand budget reasons and stuff, but then, like, and then also, you know, Michael Myers kind of teleports almost, because he's, like, from one location to the next location, and also, but then again, face kind of looks like a clown face because it looks like he's just smiling the whole time because of the mask. And just like, and so like I do say the coolest scene in the movie is when he kills the sheriff's daughter. Like he's sitting in a rocking chair. Okay, if you've never seen the movie, he's sitting in a rocking chair just rocking back and forth with a shotgun because you think it's the sheriff, and she's sitting there talking about, like I wish, because she has a shirt that says "Cops do it by the book." And you don't notice that the dead sheriff's in the corner there. And if actually you watch, there's a scene, if you watch it on 4K or if you watch it on Blu-ray, you could see, all right, when the sheriff, okay, because the sheriff, the chief of the police, whatever, Meeker, has to go deal with some like hooligans because the power's out, because Michael Myers apparently has enough time to go to the electric company, kill the electrician, and destroy the power, and then comes back, and it's like, all right, I gotta cut the power, so I can't get the Smith Grove after me. And he just goes, kills the power, and then comes back, kills a dog, and then goes out and pursues them, and then comes back, which is ridiculous. And then he somehow gets inside the house. They lock that house down. Like, there's like no way. I mean, maybe he goes on the roof and goes through the attic, I guess, maybe. Because he literally, okay, Michael Myers, somehow gets downstairs, and the only way is upstairs through that door. So there's no way, like, someone wouldn't have seen him. He would have to walk by like that, like, teleport around the doors to get downstairs to kill this deputy, and then hide in a corner, and then sit in there with a shotgun. But what happened is the sheriff and Dr. Loomis are in the basement, and they're talking on the radio, trying to get the National Guard out here. And then, of course, they finally find all these rednecks, because they tell the rednecks, like Dr. Loomis does, saying, Michael Myers is back, and he's come to kill again. And all the rednecks are like, well, we ain't gonna stop it this time. He said, we're gonna go and kill his ass. And, like, they don't say it as crazy as that, but, like, they do be like, we're gonna fry his ass. And then they go around, like, they even kill some random dude, I guess, that dress. Yeah, because that one scene, there's these hecklers that trick-or-treat dressed like Michael Myers, and the cops are about to load gunfire. Like, wait, it's just a Halloween prank. And then at one point, you see a cop, like, you see one guy says, I see Myers, I see him! And then they blow this dude sky high, but you don't see it. You just see, like, them looking like, oh. They kill, I guess it's one of the guys dressed like him, they thought, and they shot him dead. So, and then, like, because apparently you find out, like, the deputy hears on the radio that they're going, because all the police are dead, except for one deputy that was at the girl's house. You find out that the police are dead, except for him and his deputy. And his deputy comes to his house, and they all bolt the doors shut so Myers can't get in. And so they're sitting at his house, the power's out, and so the girl, his daughter goes, and he says one of the coolest lines to, because there's a love triangle in the movie. Apparently, Jamie's foster sister, who is like a teenage girl that's actually probably 25 playing a 17-year-old, is, her boyfriend couldn't go, she had to take Jamie trick-or-treating, and so the boyfriend was like, well, and there's a hot girl that works at the store that kind of looks like Stifler's mom from American Pie. And she's working, and so basically he's like, well, I'll come by later. And then he actually goes to her house, and you see when they're trick-or-treating, he comes downstairs, and you're like, surprise, he was sleeping with her, and so that's what he's been doing all Halloween. He's been doing the dirty. And so basically, and then of course, Michael Myers. So basically, they two get into an altercation in the kitchen, like a verbal argument, basically, and then she goes upstairs and sit, and Brady kind of apologized to her, like, I'm sorry. Because they were basically banging in until the sheriff showed up, and he's like knocking on the door, like, honey, open up. And they're like, oh, my dad's here. If he finds out we're doing this, he'll kick your ass. Like, he's basically like, he'll kill you. And so basically, like, he says, Brady, he said, come on here, help us lock in. So he gives him a shotgun, gives the sheriff a shotgun, his deputy a shotgun. And like, he tells Brady, he said, if I catch you, I catch you. And he said, with my daughter, he goes, I'm going to use this on you, the shotgun. He's like, oh. He basically threatens him to do that. Because, he's like, he's overprotected. But if he would have been there a few minutes ago, that boy would have had a hole in his head. But I'm just saying, like, yeah. And so basically the sheriff has to go out to the house, him and Dr. Loomis do, because they're shooting up the town. These rednecks are going to shoot up the town looking for Myers. So they leave, and of course, Michael Myers shows up. And he's basically, and you find out, like, because he tells the oldest sister, look, I need you to set on the radio. The sheriff tells him, I need you to set on the radio. When you hear the National Guard, you tell them, come to this location. And he said, because Myers is out. And okay. And they're like, okay. And so basically, the sheriff's in a rocking chair. And then the sister walks down and asks the sheriff a question. And then when she walks back up, you can see, if you watch the 4K on the Blu-ray or whatever, if you don't watch the DVD, you probably can't see it, but on the 4K and Blu-ray, you see Myers in the corner just watching, just waiting, just waiting for his moment. And then of course a few minutes later, the sheriff's daughter comes out with like just nothing but a shirt on, you know, just nothing but a shirt on. That says cops do it by the book. And then she says, hey, you know, I wish we could have some MTV here, you know, and the sheriff's just rocking in a chair. And then she lights it and there's a candle. All of a sudden you see the sheriff's dead body and the sheriff's like, and she goes, oh! And then Michael Myers gets up out of the chair. You find out it's Michael Myers that's been sitting there rocking with a shotgun the whole time. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? You know? I'm like, why? Why would you do that, Michael? You killed the sheriff. You have an open season now. There is no other defense up there. And instead, you're going to be like, watch this. Oh, yeah. I'll get them. I'll get them good. Yeah, they're never going to see this coming. I'm just going to sit here and like, oh my God, here she comes. Oh my God, here she comes. Shh, keep it together, Michael. Keep it together. I wish we had some MTV. Oh my God, dead body. Yes, my turn. Die. I mean, like, really, what was his goal here? And then also, he doesn't go upstairs after he kills her. He still stays in the living room. And then also the oldest sister, after she talks to Nash, comes downstairs and sees the dead body. And two dead bodies up there. One's on the wall with a shotgun. And the other one's dead on the ground. And then she goes upstairs because the boyfriend's like, come on, we gotta go. And then he tries to shoot the door. And there's nothing, it won't go. And she's like, they go back upstairs. Now Michael Myers, who is literally downstairs with them, but doesn't do nothing, just watches them trying to run around frantically. And then when they go upstairs, then you see him by the fireplace. He goes, like trying to make an entrance for himself. Like, here I am. Like, here's Mike. You might as well him. If he could talk, he'd be like, here's Mikey. There is a cool fight scene though where he has to shoot Michael Myers. And Michael Myers just not. It's fun. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff. And also, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Stupid. They're so damn stupid. And, like, one scene, okay, well, after, like, you know, they escape from the house, the two sisters, and Michael Myers chases after them and everything in the school, and then after out of school, and the rednecks show up and rescue them. They literally are in a car. They're, like, literally in a truck. They don't go in the school or nothing. They just get in the truck and drive off. Somehow Michael Myers, when it gets really foggy, Michael Myers somehow is able to get on a moving truck without them noticing and kill the rednecks from behind. And no one, like, it's a truck, just a little truck. And I'm like, no one notices, like, oh my God, something's happening outside. Instead, they're just, like, driving, and you have Michael Myers, and there's even gunfire that's been drawn, like, and you don't turn around, oh my God! Instead, they're just like, and then all of a sudden, then the guy looks around and says, hey, where's everybody at? And then all of a sudden, Michael's hand comes through, and it's like, I'm just like, come on, really? Come on, really? Like, come on. I mean, but still, I mean, the movie, other than that, I mean, I love, like, the ending where he gets shot to death and everything with the police and National Guard, and even the rednecks that did survive. You're like, pow, 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 pow. He's like, you know, and there's even a cool end twist where you think, oh, Michael Myers is dead, but really, the sister, the little girl who is his kin, who is his niece, is actually, after you think, oh, Michael Myers is dead, until the next movie where they pull, like, a Bride of Frankenstein, where he survived by tunnels. Yeah, but then they do, like, a cool ending where, I like the ending where, like, the little girl puts on the Michael Myers, like, you know, type clown costume, and then she stabs the stepmother to death in the pool. And you see Dr. Loomis like, no, no, and he tries to shoot the girl, and the sheriff stops him, and he's like, you know, but then they kind of fuck it up in the next film. But yeah, I would say if I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a solid, it's an A.
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Maybe nobody knows how to stop him.